Hey guys, Average Woodsman here. So I'm just going to make this video on the Pathfinder basic class. This is going to be the review. Honestly, I wasn't going to make this video mainly because the original the gear list video that I made didn't get very many views. And then for some reason, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, started really gaining traction. People started asking questions and asking when I was going to do the review. So I figured, I might as well do it now. So let's just get into it. So about the class, if you've never heard of the Pathfinder, Dave Canterbury came up with it. It's like a system. You have the 10 C's. He has a very successful shop and a very, very successful training school in right outside Jackson, Ohio. When I went, I want to say it was in October, I believe. It's been several months now. It wasn't very cold the first day. It was like in the 70s during the day, but the temperature dropped down to in the low 40s, and then it pretty much hovered between the low to mid 40s for the rest of the time I was there. It also rained a lot, off and on, almost the whole time. What else? I mean, it was honestly, it was a lot of fun, to be perfectly honest. I had a good time. The best way to describe it is the way that I've heard a ton of people now, online, in forums, things like that, describe it. They say that it's fun but challenging. That's really the way it is. It's a lot of fun, but it's challenging at times. You have time deliverables that you have to complete, and if you don't complete, you don't pass. It's plain and simple. There's really not much to it in that sense. I would say the biggest thing about it, at least that I took away, it was two things. Come in with a positive mindset to know that you're probably going to get scraped up, you're going to get dirty, you're going to, where we were cold and wet the whole time. And you're probably going to get poison ivy, especially if you're allergic to it. Thankfully, I got it a couple times when I was young. I don't know if I built up an immunity to it or something, but I just don't get poison ivy. When I was at the Randall's Adventure and Training School in Alabama a couple of weekends ago, I was there for the advanced bushcraft course. Poison ivy, poison oak everywhere. Never had an issue with it. I run into it sometimes around here in Florida. Never had an issue with it since I was a kid. But there were people who got poison ivy. My partner had it all over his hands. So be prepared. The gear I brought, I was really, really satisfied with what I brought, honestly. Sorry about my allergies too. The pollen is just ridiculous right now. But the gear I brought, honestly, I focused really hard and spent a lot of time researching before the class. And I would say that's one thing that you probably should do, is watch some videos of people who have taken the class, gear list reviews, gear list videos on what you should bring. Go to the Pathfinder website and look at their gear list. I would say stick to it. Don't bring a bunch of stuff you're not going to need because you're not going to use it, plain and simple. You're going to bring a bunch of stuff and you're going to be carrying it around with you because you have to carry your pack everywhere you go. Especially after the first night. The second, you get there, you do spend the entire day out doing a woods walk, classroom stuff. The second day, you're right into deliverables. You're right into learning stuff. You're out in the field. You're carrying around your backpack. So if you bring a bunch of stuff, you're going to be lugging it around with you the whole time, and you're going to be miserable. So try to pack light. Just pack what you need along with some food. I would avoid a bunch of freeze-dried food. I wouldn't bring any canned food, any of that kind of stuff. Mainly meal bars, meal replacement bars. You could bring instant coffee, I guess, if you wanted to, because the first night we were able to sit around the fire a little bit and talk, the students. Some guys made some, coffee and stuff like that. One guy heated up some, I don't remember exactly what it was, if it was like summer sausage or something over the fire, but mainly everyone focused on the next day, all, processing poplar bark. We're doing stuff like that, honing their tools, focusing on what they basically preparing for the next day. I would say one other thing about the gear before I move on: buy quality gear or bring quality gear with you. I can't stress this enough. I saw a guy's boot, one of his boots came apart, his boots came apart. So he had to use duct tape to tape it back together. His feet were wet the entire time because, like I said, it rained. We were walking through creeks, all kinds of stuff, muddy. Another guy's pack got tore up really bad because the Pathfinder property is covered in like thorns, vines. It's really thick. The nav courses that you go on, you're going to be getting scraped up from all of the thorns, and your gear will get torn up if you bring gear that is not tough. One of the guys in the class, his jacket got just shredded from going through the thick stuff. So that's one thing you need to do, is bring quality gear and stick to the list. Stick to the list. Don't bring a bunch of stuff that you don't need because you're not going to use it. The good things that I did is definitely the gear. I practiced. I spent a lot of time looking at what I should bring. Fire. I did really good at fire. I did good at shelter. The things I did that I didn't do great at: navigation. I didn't know it was going to be that heavy. I had a feeling or should I say, I saw on videos and posts that it was going to have a lot of navigation, but I didn't know that much navigation. So there was a lot of navigation. You do on multiple land nav courses. We did one at night. For our final was actually at night. We had to navigate through the thick stuff through a full nav course at night, make a fire, using all of our collected smalls in our heavy metal trash bags, boil water, and set up shelters, 3 different shelters. You have a teammate who helps you with all this, but it makes more sense to designate things. And that's all timed. So that was one thing that I struggled at, and I did not luck out because my partner was even worse at navigation than I was. So I was delegated to do all the navigation, all the fire, all the water boiling, all that kind of stuff, which was, put a lot of extra stress on me. But like I said, it was fun. We had a good time. I flew there from Tampa, Florida, the Tampa Bay area, all the way to Jackson, Ohio. I probably wouldn't go back up there again because it was so expensive, and just with all the COVID restrictions on the flying right now on the airlines, it was a real hassle. If they came to Florida, I was talking to Josh, the gray bearded Green Beret, and he said sometimes they do classes in Florida in the Panhandle area. So that would be cool. By the way, all the instructors were really friendly and awesome and helpful. Dave is a very hands-on instructor, which was very cool to see someone who is, quite frankly, very famous in the outdoor bushcraft survival community, whatever you want to call it. And he was there the entire time. He did a huge percentage, probably, I would say the vast majority of the instruction Dave did himself, the classroom and a lot of it out in the field. So I thought that was really cool. Also, Sean Kelly from Corporal's Corner was there. He was one of the instructors. Pooter Stomper was there. There was a lot. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good instructors. I just had a really good time, honestly. I don't know if I would change anything. The only thing I might change, because the gear I brought was excellent, I had a good experience overall, but I would have focused more on navigation. It really showed me that that was one of my weakest points, was navigation, land nav. I mean, I knew how to use a compass, basic navigation, but I didn't know the more advanced techniques that prepare you for like self mapping and things like that that you do in the intermediate course. So that was probably my weakest thing, and the thing I would change. I would focus more on land navigation specifically. We did a lot of fire stuff. I had no issue with that. We learned a lot of cool techniques with making fire, and that was not an issue. Uh, the sheltering was not an issue. I had already done the main shelters, the setups that we use with our emergency tarp. I had done those lots of times. I already knew how to make a rapid deploy ridgeline. I knew most of the knots that we learned. I knew all that kind of stuff for the most part going in. So there was a lot of things I knew going in and a lot of things I learned there. But I would say the thing that I would change personally is I would have focused more on navigation, land navigation, because that was my weakest portion, the portion I struggled the most with. It probably would have been helpful if I would have been one of the students who actually had a partner who was able to, to have more knowledge of that specific skill. For me, the person that I was partners with, cool guy, really tried hard, toughed it out, even with, like I said, poison ivy all over his hands. He still toughed it out, but he had very little knowledge in general. Didn't have much knowledge in shelter building. He did okay. He actually, you know what? That's not true. He did do good with the shelter portion. He knew all of the different tarp setups. He did a really good job with that. The fire portion he struggled with. He struggled also heavily in the land nav. The land nav was basically left up to me. So it's kind of important, I guess, who you get stuck with as your partner. Cool guy. I had a lot of fun, but a lot of it was left up to me. And I am pretty skilled at certain things, but navigation, which this class had quite a bit in, at least, for me personally, since that was not one of my strong suits, it wasn't something that I focused a lot on when learning skills. But anyway, guys, I just figured I would do this video, a follow-up, because I got a lot of questions about it. And I'll catch you on the next one.